You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible. If the late football announcer Keith Jackson was alive, he would be saying, "Whoa, Nelly." That's exactly how folks are reacting in the nation's capital with this whistleblower complaint, a CIA officer who alleges that the Trump administration, they have been hiding phone calls that he makes to world leaders, and also that he tried to get a foreign government to essentially investigate his Democratic rival, Joe Biden. Now, Donald Trump and Republicans continue to assert the lie that Joe Biden and his son are corrupt. The fact of the matter is there was no corruption there whatsoever. That is an absolute lie. Today, the head director of national intelligence appeared before the House Intelligence Committee, did not want to talk about some of the conversations that he has had with the President of the United States. Republicans tried their best to derail it, including Devin Nunes, who said some of the most ridiculous, insane, nonsensical things in the world. But it was Adam Schiff, the chair of that committee, who laid bare exactly what the fundamental issue is and why Democrats are pursuing the truth in an impeachment inquiry of Donald Trump.
The first place you went was to the White House. Am I to understand that from your opening statement? It wasn't to the Department of Justice. The first place you went for a second opinion was to the White House?
I did not go for a second opinion. The question was, is the information contained here subject to executive privilege, not whether or not it met urgent concern.
And so the first place you went for advice as to whether you should provide the complaint as the statute requires to Congress was the White House.
I am not authorized as the Director of National Intelligence to provide executive privileged information. I think it is prudent as a member of the executive branch to check to ensure that in fact it does not.
I'm just asking about the sequencing here. Did you first go to the White House to determine whether you should provide a complaint to Congress?
No, sir, that was not the question. The question was whether or not it has executive privilege, not whether or not I should send it on to Congress.
Okay. Is the first party you went to outside of your office to seek advice, counsel, direction, the White House?
I have consulted with the White House counsel, and eventually we also consulted with the Department of Justice Office of Legal Counsel.
And my question is, did you go to the White House first?
I went to the Office of Legal Counsel for advice. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm asking what you went to first. Did you go to the Department of Justice Office of Legal Counsel first, or did you go to the White House first?
I went to the office, my team, my office, went to the Office of Legal Counsel first to receive whether or not the matter in the letter and in the complaint might meet the executive privilege. They viewed it and said, we've determined that it appears to be executive privilege. And until executive privilege is determined and cleared, I did not have the authority to be able to send that forward to the committee. I worked with the Office of Legal Counsel for the past several weeks to get resolution on this. It's a very deliberate process.
Well, Director, I'm still trying to understand the chronology. So you first went to the Office of Legal Counsel, and then you went to White House counsel?
We went, and then to the, repeat that, please, sir?
I'm just trying to understand the chronology. You first went to the Office of Legal Counsel, and then you went to the White House counsel?
No, sir. No, sir. No, we went to the White House first to determine, to ask the question.
Okay, that's all I want is chronology. So you went to the White House first. So you went to the subject of the complaint for advice first about whether you should provide the complaint to Congress.
There were issues within this, a couple of things. One, it did appear that it has executive privilege. If it does have executive privilege, it is the White House that determines that. I cannot determine that as the Director of National Intelligence.
But in this case, the White House, the President is the subject of the complaint. He's the subject of the wrongdoing. Were you aware when you went to the White House for advice about whether evidence of wrongdoing by the White House should be provided to the Congress, were you aware that the White House counsel has taken the unprecedented position that the privilege applies to communications involving the president, when he was president, involving the president when he wasn't president, involving people who never served in the administration, involving people who never served in the administration even when they're not even talking to the president. Were you aware that that is the unprecedented position of the White House you went to for advice about whether you should turn over a complaint involving the White House?
Mr. Chairman, as I said in my opening statement, I believe that everything here in this matter is totally unprecedented. And that is why my former directors of national intelligence forwarded them to you, whether or not it met urgent concern or whether it was serious. This was different. And to me, it just seemed prudent to be able to check and ensure as a member of the executive branch before I sent it forward.
All right, folks, let's talk about this with our panel. Joining us right now is Dr. Greg Carr, Chair, Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University. Joseph Williams, he's a editor, U.S. News and World Report. Erica Savage-Wilson, host of her own podcast. Joseph, I want to start with you. Here's one of the things I think Democrats are making a mistake, and there was a lot of people discussing this on social media. A lot of them got so wrapped up in process as opposed to what actually happened that I think they're missing the point. You have to hammer home what they did. This whole deal of, well, that you go to the White House first, that you go here, that you go over here. Focus on the whistleblower.
Well, I think that's important, and I think they finally got around to that. Early on, it seemed like the strategy was to try to unfold the process, and certainly in that exchange that you played with the director was to try to establish that this guy, underneath it all, is a presidential appointee and is a Republican. And so, of course, when he goes to the White House, that's like the chicken going to the fox lair. And to try to figure this out, of course, he's going to tell them not to release any of these things. So I think that's probably what they were trying to get to. As far as the process stuff goes, it was a waste of time, but I think a lot of it was to try to get the public educated on what exactly should have happened instead of what exactly did happen.
Erica, the thing here is this here. Donald Trump, we're seeing it, is unhinged. The reality is he knows that he's being targeted. He knows he is screwed up. Today, he was at a fundraiser. He called reporters scum, lashed out at the whistleblower. The New York Times is reporting that he has ordered folks in the White House to track down this whistleblower. And what the hell is wrong with Dean Baquet and the New York Times for reporting that, first of all, the whistleblower is a man, is a CIA officer, is an expert on Ukraine? Well, damn, that's not going to be hard to figure out who the whistleblower is.
Right, the slow unmasking. And I tend to agree with Joseph in what he said. I think that it was important that Chairman Schiff, in his introductory, also in that line of questioning, it was right out of the gate at 9 o'clock this morning, that he actually got him to Acting Director McGuire to, in fact, admit that he did go to the Office of Legal Counsel in the White House first. That's important to establish and to continue to repeat over and over again so the American public will have an understanding whether or not people understand federal agencies and the Office of the Inspector General and how things are to be reported in times and things of that nature, understanding that this person who has charge and command over an intelligence agency in his own due diligence, with his own due diligence, took this matter where the complainant in this particular document is in fact the President of the United States to the White House and included the Department of Justice. So I do feel like that's important because that's something that we'll continue to have to reference back to over and over again as we hopefully head to articles of impeachment being filed.
Greg, Republicans keep saying that Joe Biden and his son are corrupt. A former Ukraine prosecutor said that Hunter Biden didn't violate anything. The reality is all of the reporting, all of these things show that that is an absolute lie. The Republicans and Trump want to keep saying corrupt, corrupt, corrupt. It's based on a lie. What you also have here, this whole issue with Ukraine. Now you got Donald Trump calling the whistleblower a spy. Yeah, the whistleblower is a spy. A United States spy. And that person is charged with reporting conduct as unbecoming, and that's what he did here. And so now you have Donald Trump, who has trashed the FBI. Now he's trashing this whistleblower, and it's showing again that this guy does not care about anybody or anyone. He will throw anyone under the bus. He will railroad them, and I guarantee you, don't be surprised, because of what the New York Times did, we're probably going to have this person's name in 24 hours.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If not tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's clear, as you said, Donald Trump is even more unhinged than he's ever been. Today and yesterday, if he had any family members who cared about him, they would get him off of television at this point. He's just,
intervention.
He's becoming must-see TV again as he dissembles in front of us. But listening to Devin Nunes yesterday, listening to Kevin McCarthy, they too have become unhinged, and it's clear what the strategy is. Donald Trump is not very bright. He's not he's a failed businessman, all these other things. But one thing that he does seem to have, either incidentally or maybe it's in his DNA, he has a sense of the spectacle. And it seems to me that, you know, and I'm not alone, a lot of people are saying this, that he's trying to pick his opponent. If he can prop Joe Biden up, he thinks he can beat Joe Biden because he knows he's talking to a base that will believe anything. But here's the problem. Biden is already imploding. And here's the problem that Nancy Pelosi faces. She didn't want to go for impeachment, but here's where I think Adam Schiff was going finally with this. An agreement, everything that we've already heard from Eric and we heard from Joseph. Schiff is a prosecutor. The thin veneer that stands between this country's complete collapse in terms of respect for the rule of law and the Democrats is to keep reinforcing that we have rules here. So he's trying to pair. Today, McGuire, best he could do is try to put himself in the same category as Robert Mueller. In other words, I'm just following the rules. I'm just following the rules. But by continuing to harp on the rules, what the Democratic Party can do if they can play this out, because he's going to be impeached in the House of Representatives, and the Senate is going to reject it. Perhaps if they parlay this right, they can break the back of the party formerly known as the GOP for a long time. If they can say, we are the party of the rules, and you have become completely unhinged. I think that's part of the strategy.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. November 7th through the 11th, of course, Luxe Jazz experience taking place in Cabo. It's going to be fantastic. Gerald Orb right there, my alpha brother. It's going to be one of the folks performing there. It's top-notch music, food, golf, spa, all that good stuff taking place at the Omnia Day Club in Los Cabos, nestled on the Sea of Cortez in the celebrity playground of Los Cabos. The Luxe Jazz experience offers the ultimate getaway for discerning jazz aficionados. It's going to be a fantastic time. I'll be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered there Thursday and Friday from Los Cabos. Great excursions, mini concerts, including the Spirit of Jazz Gospel Brunch, as well as the Jazz Sunset Cruise. Confirmed guests, comedian actor Mark Curry with Joe Albright, Alex Bouillon, Raul Madon, Incognito, Pieces of a Dream, Kirk Whalum, Average White Band, Donnie McClurkin, Shalea, Roy Ayers, Tom Brown, Ronnie Laws, and Ernest Quarles. For more information, please visit www.lifeluxejazz.com, LIFELUXEJAZZ.com. You want to book your package real soon to get those airline tickets as well. And so while folks are freezing in the Northeast and the Midwest all across the country, we'll be having some fun, some sun-drenched fun there in Cabo. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.